The Cold War was a period of intense ideological confrontation, with the United States and the Soviet Union vying for influence on the global stage. In the midst of this geopolitical struggle, Albania, led by the Stalinist regime of Enver Hoxha, found itself at the center of a lesser-known but significant chapter. This article explores the Western attempts to overthrow Stalinist Albania, shedding light on the covert operations and geopolitical complexities that unfolded during this clandestine episode. Albania's Stalinist isolation. Following World War II, Albania emerged as a socialist state under the leadership of Enver Hoxha, who embraced a strict interpretation of Stalinism. Hoxha's regime isolated Albania from both the Eastern and Western blocs, leading to strained relations with the Soviet Union and Tito's Yugoslavia. Albania's ideological alignment with Stalinism and its rejection of de-Stalinization efforts put it on a collision course with both superpowers. Western frustration and covert operations. In the early 1950s, Western powers, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom, viewed Albania's alignment with the Soviet Union as a threat to regional stability and the containment of communism. Frustrated by Albania's isolationist policies, the Western intelligence agencies initiated covert operations aimed at undermining the Hoxha regime and potentially toppling it. Operation Valuable Fiend, a clandestine campaign. Operation Valuable, later renamed Operation Fiend, was a series of covert actions orchestrated by Western intelligence agencies to destabilize the Stalinist government in Albania. The operations included propaganda efforts, psychological warfare, and support for anti-Hoxha elements within the country. Western powers hoped to exploit internal dissent and encourage a rebellion against the Albanian leadership. Support for anti-Hoxha forces. The Western powers sought to build alliances with dissidents and opposition groups within Albania, providing them with material support and encouragement. However, the closed nature of the Stalinist regime made it challenging to establish reliable connections with internal opposition figures, and the impact of external support remained limited. The Bay of Pigs connection. Interestingly, the Albanian scenario had indirect connections to the Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba in 1961. Some Albanian exiles who had participated in the Western-backed operations later became involved in anti-Castro efforts. The attempt to use Albanian exiles in both contexts underscores the interconnected nature of various Cold War interventions. The failure of covert operations. Despite the efforts of Western intelligence agencies, the covert operations aimed at overthrowing the Hoxha regime ultimately proved unsuccessful. Albania remained under the grip of Stalinist communism, and the Hoxha government maintained its isolationist policies. The failure of these covert actions highlighted the challenges of subverting regimes with strong internal controls and limited external vulnerabilities. Legacy and reflection. The Western attempts to overthrow Stalinist Albania remain a relatively obscure chapter in Cold War history, overshadowed by more prominent events and conflicts. The episode underscores the complexities of covert operations, the difficulties in penetrating closed societies, and the resilience of authoritarian regimes. As Albania continued its isolationist path, the legacy of these covert attempts faded into the background, leaving a largely forgotten aspect of Cold War intrigue.